From New Central Illinois, WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in studio today is Tony Harris as we recap the Tuesday night Clinton City Council meeting. Good morning, Tony. How are you, sir?
Good morning, Seth. I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm well, thanks. Thanks for coming out and talking with us,
problem.
enjoying this fall weather. And you and I were catching up before we got started. I know Kenny Buchanan mentioned that the leaf vacs not quite rolling yet as we're getting close to Halloween. I'm ready for my leaves to start falling so I can get that process started.
Yeah, I think lots of people are. I think they're ready to get the leaves off the trees, get it cleaned up and hauled away. But
yeah,
they're just slow falling this year, as Commissioner Buchanan mentioned last night. So we haven't got the leaf vac truck out yet, but that's coming. We're waiting for more leaves to fall, and then we'll get on it.
Sure. I can remember years the World Series is going on, and I'm listening to my sports podcast, Blowing Leaves. I feel like I'm into November anymore, following football on Sundays while I'm blowing leaves than I am baseball. But it feels like it gets later every year. But we'll await that and hopefully get those blown out to the curbs. Remind us that service the city has, Tony, what that's all about, what y'all do.
So rake or blow the leaves out to the side of the road, and that's when there's certain time that the truck comes around town, the vac truck, and they'll take care of those, vacuum those up. So just don't put them in the road, but put them on the side, like on the boulevard there, and the city will take care of it.
Sure. So that's I'm sure Steve will keep the residents afloat of when they're going to pull those out and get that process started. But in the meantime, have I talked to you, Tony, since Apple and Pork? I think I did. I talked to you in the 1st of October.
Yeah, I think we did.
Yeah, I did. Never mind.
Yeah.
We don't need to recap Apple and Pork. So very good. Let's go through some things from Tuesday night's meeting. Let's start down with some of the things that were approved. Where do you want to start with this, Tony? And kind of old new business. What's top of mind for you this here morning?
Well, we can hit a little bit on these demolition bids.
Yeah, let's hit on those. What's going on there?
That's to me, that's very exciting. That's one thing that I started working on immediately when I took this position. As you know, I'm new in this position, started back in January. And, I had a business owner tell me one time, when he brings clients in, he has to be careful what road he travels down, and so I took that very serious. I thought, he's right. We need to clean this up a little bit. And I started, and I had all the commissioners have been very helpful with this entire project, and they've supported me all the way through it. Commissioner Ballinger mentioned last night these 2 properties are going to be coming down. Actually, it's going to be 4. We're going to be taking down the property, Doc Allen's properties that the city bought on the corner of Quincy and Main Street. So that's the old Doc Allen building and the apartment building behind the actual structure. So both of those will be coming down fairly quick. I would say within the next month or so, those will be coming down. And then last night, the new business they put on file, the 600 East Woodlawn and 715 South Kane. And both of those properties have been sitting empty for I don't know how long. It's been several years. So those are the first 2 that I've been working on to take down and get those cleaned up. And it depends. I don't know what we're going to do with those yet. At some point the city would take ownership of those, since we put the money in to get them taken down, and hopefully redevelop those areas.
Yeah. Was that not the area where like a city hall, fire department, water tower was potentially proposed?
That's my understanding. The Doc Allen buildings, that was I believe that was purchased for that purpose. It's still being considered. I mean, the mayor has mentioned numerous times that she's wants to get a new fire station and city hall and police department. So that's being considered. But we have several locations that are actually being considered. We're in the very early stages of this, and we realize it's going to cost money, and that's the biggest hurdle, is trying to find funding for both of those. But yes, that's been considered, but there's other locations that are being looked at as well.
Okay, gotcha. Well, and I know that process is kind of ongoing. The mayor, from what I think she was in here, told us, you were here with us, kind of end of year, she wants to really have a direction with that.
She does, and she's got it. She's got it planned out, and by the end of the year, she wants a location identified. And are we going to make that? I'm hoping we are. We've worked very hard on it. We just this week we We met with a couple of engineers for some structural studies on a couple different areas. So we are moving forward. And like you said, the first step is to identify the location by the end of the year. And we'll see if we make that.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. There's such limited options in Clinton,
Yeah, there really is, and it's just like the housing shortage, same thing. It's an issue, and we have to work through that, and we're doing our very best.
Gotcha. Well, hopefully we have something. Is that something? Obviously, the council will have to approve that. What will that look like? I mean, will you just have something identified, put it on the agenda, or will there be like some awareness of, hey, we're looking at this? Like, I guess what's that going? Is there going to be discussion at the council level? What's some of that going to look like? Most
definitely, there will be discussion. In this very early stage, it's just the mayor and I were working on this, and the commissioners are on board with us. We're trying to identify some potential locations, and then we'll get with the commissioners and talk about it. We'll have discussions, probably one-on-one between me and the commissioners first, and then at some point we'll come together in a meeting and have the discussion. But again, the first step is just to identify a possible location. That's kind of that's a problem we've got to take care of right now.
Yeah. We're kind of on the topic of strategic planning, Tony. We haven't really said that yet, but this is a lot of what is in the strategic plan. What else is being worked on in the strategic plan? Are there other things within that right now y'all are focused on?
There are. We're working right now on an online solution for building permits. And that would go right along with replacing our financial software that Clint Lichtenwalter takes care of. So what we're trying to do, and Clint and I, we've sat through several demos, different companies to try to achieve this goal to replace the financial software, and then also incorporate my goal to make everything electronic, different permits, building permits, things like that. And it only makes sense for me to partner with Clint since he's got to replace his software to make that all in one, and from my experience, if you have different softwares that kind of go together, but they're different vendors, there's a lot of finger pointing that goes on when there's issues. So we just decided that it's best if we just choose one vendor to achieve our goals.
I see. Our goals. Yeah. Again, anything else out of strategic planning that's being worked on right now?
Trying to think. That's the biggest with those meetings with replacing the financial software, and then the identify locations for the fire department and city hall. Nothing else comes to mind right now.
I know concerts on the square have been something a lot of people have just brought up over the last year and a half since this plan was put together. If I'm not mistaken, there was, and I don't know if this is something Helen mentioned, you mentioned, I heard in passing in the community, there was discussion of handing that off to like a downtown business association and letting them plan it. What's the status of that?
Well, that's being discussed right now. Helen and I are, we've got two groups going that we're meeting right now with, one being the America 250 group, and that group will meet on Monday night to discuss. It's a group to come up with different plans for the America 250 next year on the 4th of July. So that's one group. And then, yes, the Downtown Business Association, that's a different group that we're meeting. So the concerts on the square is a topic of discussion. And as a matter of fact, I think we put it out on our city Facebook site. We're looking for different bands in the area, and we've got a good response to that. We've got numerous bands identified where
everybody wants to play,
and we just have to decide, how are we going to do this? Are we going to get, a band to come in from Nashville or someplace like that? Or are we going to just, those are costly. Those are very costly. And we've done that a few times, then maybe scattered.
Yeah, there was funds dedicated to that, if I'm not mistaken.
There was.
Of course, that's before everything went, through the roof in terms of the cost. So,
So, we're going to do something like that, and then scattered in there also some local bands. We're not sure, and that's going to be part of this group to try to figure all this out.
Gotcha.
Again, the America 250 group will meet on Monday night at 6:30 at City Hall. And that's a group just to, figure out what we're going to do on that day. And there's also mention of having a concert that night too. So that will be discussed Monday night at the City Council chambers.
Gotcha. So what time is that meeting, by the way?
6:30.
6:30. So if you and calling on who you call it? Can anybody come?
Anybody can come to that meeting, yes.
Okay.
And the more the merrier. We're
Okay.
looking for volunteers. And this group, we're not sure where it's going to go. I mean, it's dedicated right now to America 250. But
Right.
our hopes would be that this would be a group that would continue with this. It would just be a group that would help us with concerts on the square or anything to grow the downtown, activities, things like that.
Sure.
So we're hoping that this is successful and the group will stick around, sort of like Celebrate Clinton. Had the disband. So we're gonna see where it's gonna go.
Okay, well, we'll look forward to that. So coming out on Monday night, 6:30 at City Council Chambers. So I know the last couple of months there's been some movement in terms of meetings of business owners on the square. There's been different just kind of different groups starting to maybe band together a little bit. What do you know about that process, Tony? What's going on there?
Yeah, that's one of the meetings that I talked about. It's just that it's business owners on the square getting together just with different ideas of what us as the city can help with, and then them as a group, what they want to see happen on the square, all the way from activities on the square to funding to fix up buildings and things like that. So a lot of different topics are being discussed in that group. Good discussion. We had a meeting last week, and it was some good discussion on plans that they would like to see on the square. And
are you at liberty to say like what?
Concerts on the square is one of them. This group brought that up. They also brought up, we as a city, we have a what we call a facade grant through the TIF program, TIF 4 in that area, and we provide facelifts to buildings, but we don't provide like new windows or roofs that might be leaky, things like that. So there's been some discussion on somehow trying to find a way to fund some of that stuff. And we're again in the very early stages. We only had one meeting, but a lot of good conversation came up in that meeting with different business owners.
Cool. Good. Very good. Very good. Well, on that note, Tony, we kind of veered off the beaten track we had laid out for us, but we'll take a break, maybe try to get back on track when we come back with Tony Harris, City Administrator for the City of Clinton, as we follow up the Tuesday night Clinton City Council meeting. More to come with Tony on the morning show.
WHOW. Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in studio today, Tony Harris with the City of Clinton, as we follow up the Tuesday night Clinton City Council meeting. Tony's the city administrator, by the way. I don't want to bust rank on you there, Tony, so make sure folks know that. At any rate, let's dive into, I know you've got a notice from Ameren. They're going to be doing some things in town. What are they doing? What are they up to?
Yeah, they notified me that they're doing sewer inspections to identify and correct any potential cross boring of hazard involving natural gas lines. So, as people might remember when we had the utilities going through the fiber and things like that. We had gas leaks, and so that kind of goes along the line there. But they're basically looking at the city sewer system. They're going to make sure that there's no gas that's being leaked in the city sewer system. So we welcome that as a city, and basically that's going to be in the northwest side of Clinton. So like White Street south to Woodlawn, and then Center Street west to Gibson. So that part of town. So basically, citizens might see trucks out, probing sewer lines, things like that. There's nothing to get worried about. They've notified us. We even have a list of all the customers in the area that might be affected by that. We don't think there's going to be any interruption of any kind of services, but just so so they know that there might be some activity. Now, I was also told that they may have to gain access into a sewer line through a basement of a house if they can't get access on the outside. So it might be a case, and there should be very limited of those, but might be a case where Ameren might be, or their contractor might be knocking on a door to try to gain access. So if there's any concerns about that from anyone in the city, just contact me and we can talk through that. But,
sure.
That's going on, and that's worthy of discussion, just to keep everybody in the loop that that's going to be going on.
Yeah. I wanted to a couple old business things. Anything else on the old business? I know the fire or the police department approved for a couple of new vehicles, some fire department things. Anything in there, Tony, you want to put out there for us on those things?
Yeah, the police department, Chief Ben Lowers, he notified the council he's replacing 2 of his units, and it's getting new vehicles. These are the unmarked vehicles that he's replacing, and getting some new computers to allow better access for the officers to do reports and things like that. So we got to make sure we take care of our police department. It's a very, very valuable in the city, and we take care of them. Sure.
Very good. So let's jump into new business. You mentioned getting some new computers for them. Is that coming up next time then?
Yes.
Okay.
Put on file, and that will be voted on at the next meeting.
Okay. Looks like couple facade grant opportunities. What's going on there, Tony?
Yeah, those are again, I mentioned it earlier. It's an opportunity for business owners on the square to do a facelift of their building, and it's a application process. The business would fill out an application, and then we would get it approved through city council.
Okay.
And it's a 50-50 grant. So whatever 50% of the cost after it's done, then we reimburse for that. So in my time, we've had 2 that's been approved for the program, and we only allocate a certain amount of funds for that a year. So we have to make sure we're not going over funding, and there's a little bit left for this year, but not a whole lot. But so that just again helps with downtown.
Yep. And more demolition bids on Woodlawn Street, it looks like. Woodlawn and Kane. I know you mentioned those. Will those be approved next month then?
Yes. Those will be approved at the next city council meeting.
But there was one from last night, correct?
They put on file.
Oh, they put it on file. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought there was
on file. The
what am I looking at here?
The 2 Dr. Allen buildings, those were already approved, and we're just waiting for contractors to sign their contracts and get started on that. So I would say in the next 30 days.
Well, my dyslexia must have hit me this morning. Sorry about that. The firehouse for the fire department. What's the 5288 for them? Do you know much about that one, Tony? That was on the old business side of things.
Oh, that's the fire hoses. Danny Ballinger mentioned
right.
Last night that they have to do like inspections every year of fire hoses.
Got it.
I remember seeing that last year when they did that. It's pretty interesting. They drag out all the fire hose and actually have a company come in and test those. So you need to make sure you have good fire hoses, and those have an end of life and they fail, and then we got to replace them. So again, just like the police department, we got to take care of our fire department as well.
Gotcha. Anything not city agenda, city council related from this month that's kept you busy, or anything, whether it's state stuff or anything else that's come across your desk lately that's of note for you, Tony, as we wrap up this morning?
Can't think of anything that, yes, lots of projects going on. I mentioned most of them, but one thing I did want to mention, if we have time.
Yeah, please.
Seth, is that Commissioner Ballinger brought it up last night, smoking on the new playground.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
We hate to have to do this, but we're going to have to put up no smoking signs. Basically, parents that are in there playing with their kids and they're smoking, yes, there's people that smoke, and we don't want to have to regulate that. But then again, we get complaints from non-smokers. So, if we could just get the citizens to watch that, and smoke in the outside areas of the park, not around the children playing at the park, we would appreciate that. But he mentioned it last night that we might have to move forward with that. Would be part of the events too, where you can smoke.
Gotcha. Very good. Well, Tony, on that note, I know you're active on the social medias. How do folks follow along all things City of Clinton on social media?
City of Clinton has a Facebook site, and they can just search the City of Clinton in Illinois, and that should bring up the Facebook site. And we push a lot of information onto that. Also, if we have a few minutes,
please, just quick 30.
Plug real quick the HyperReach system to notify the public, the citizens of Clinton, of any kind of water boil orders or any kind of emergency situations. We use that avenue to notify citizens. So Facebook and HyperReach. That is Tony Harris, City Administrator for the City of Clinton, our guest in studio, following up the Tuesday night Clinton City Council meeting. Network news on the way on the morning show. WHOW.